All right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to another game in this series between Lin and Romantic. Lin spawning as the blue orc on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Romantic spawning as the yellow human on the top right. Well, human versus orc, tale as old as WarCraft 1, as we get to that 8-minute or 2-minute mark. Mountain King quickly as the primary hero coming in from Romantic. Meanwhile, we're looking at a Farseer coming in from Lin. Lin now venturing forth, ready to place down some pressure and some damage. Rocker Golem quickly going to get surrounded here, trying to go after that Forest Troll Priest first. The Forest Troll Priest giving inner fire as well, and this is a little bit greedy by Romantic. All right, so Romantic trying to go straight there. The Manual of Health, what's going to happen next? Mountain King picks up a Wand of Mana Stealing, going to get a Stormbolt onto the Farseer, and now Wand of Mana Stealing takes away some of that precious mana as well. All right, so Mountain King still has 2 bullets in the chamber, and perhaps could get a third one if the Farseer tries to make its way back over. Meanwhile, Mountain King wants to pick up that Manual of Health there and perhaps finish off this Mud Golem, getting to level 2. Meanwhile, Farseer says, you know what, I want no part in that early battle against that Mountain King, especially close by next to those militia who could get an early surround and, well, really set back my early tempo game. Wolves going to clean up here. The Murloc Tidrunner's Farseer will be staying at level 1. Meanwhile, Mountain King staying at level 2, still venturing forth. And, well, we'll have a little bit of difficulty trying to creep. The Archmage being able to summon up those water elementals, it's not only the damage that's important, it's also the ability to absorb damage, as that water elemental is normally a tank in the early stages of the game, absorbing 500 points of damage against those creeps while well, dishing out a bit as well. Mountain King heading off to the north here, going to perhaps try and go after this Null Overseer creep camp and perhaps even set up an expo. We can see that there's 4 workers with another worker still being trained up, so there's going to be plenty of workers to gather plenty of lumber if Romantic strategy is to try and go for the long economic game. Farseer still sitting at level 1 here. Mountain King sitting at level 2. Are we going to see another Wand of Mana Stealing? Yes, we are. And with another Wand of Mana Stealing, I thought perhaps the Farseer would not going to be able to summon up any wolves. Mountain King now out. Are we perhaps going to be looking at a Stormbolt onto any of those units? There's a bash onto one wolf. And, well, that level 2 Farseer has to respect the level 2 Stormbolt of that Mountain King, as that is an intelligence-based hero in the early portion of the game. Lin does have access to this Fountain of Health, so he's a little bit better on health than I would normally expect him to be, as the Headhunters, well, could also find themselves on the receiving end of a Stormbolt and, well, get shut down quickly. Couple of footmen nearby. Mountain King making its way down, perhaps going to try and buy some Boots of Speed. Always a good item if you expect to be given into those chase scenarios, and being able to Stormbolt down a unit and then getting perhaps a couple of lucky bashes as well. All right, there's that wolf there. Mountain King, well, just going to let that wolf simply walk on by. And Mountain King really more hunting to see where exactly his opponent is. Okay, Mountain King going to go after the Forest Troll High Priest, Ogre Magi Creek Camp. Forest Troll High Priest takes a Stormbolt, isn't even able to give inner fire to anything, let alone a heal, as this Ogre Magi, well, getting bashed twice in succession, gives himself Bloodlust, only to, well, fall quickly after that. All right, Wand of Illusion and going to be dropped here. Forest Troll Trapper, there's another bash. That Spirit Wolf got ensnared. Gift Wrap for Romantic, a little bit of bonus experience again, as the Farseer sits at level 2 and going to try and go after this Rock Golem, Mud Golem creep camp. Quick boulder to the head for the Farseer, though, disrupts the Clarity Potion, as the Tauren Chieftain is now out and about. All right, Headhunters. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like the colors are not nearly as bright as they used to be. As we see a quick Stormbolt and bash onto one of those Headhunters. One Headhunter is going to get taken down. Yes, it does. However, traded for a Footman, as the Headhunters are able to focus down a unit again. Are we going to see another Stormbolt? No, we are not. Just going straight after the Farseer. There's another bash there. There's going to be a Stormbolt finishing things off. Another Shockwave as a Tauren Chieftain as a footman gets picked off from behind. That Mountain King is working really hard to try and pick off those units. Economically speaking, Romantic is a bit ahead. Obviously, Arcane Vault, Blacksmith, Scout Tower out at that Expo, teching the Tier 2. Meanwhile, tech-wise, Lin obviously ahead with that second hero as that Tauren Chieftain looks to get to level 2 here, but the Farseer, well, taking some of that precious experience away as the Mountain King wants the illusion, just wants to get some sort of tap onto that Farseer to disrupt that Clarity Potion and that Healing Salve. All right, Mountain King going straight after the Ogre Magi here, perhaps going to try and get a surround onto this Ogre Lord. Ogre Lord going to take a Stormbolt, get surrounded, and once he's surrounded, well, he's not going to really try to break free all that much. No, he does aggro the creeps right nearby. One of those wolves, or one of those footmen, could end up getting taken down. Mountain King wants to finish off the Ogre Lord, and this is something really more out of the, well, Orc playbook to try and clear that Ogre Lord while ignoring the rest of that creep camp. Mountain King, Mass Footman, cleaning up all of these Murlocs here. Meanwhile, we see an Expo by Lin on the southern side here as the Farseer Tauren Chieftain making its way off to the north. Level 3 Farseer, level 2 Tauren Chieftain. We are still not yet at tier 2, no second hero yet. And we are sitting on about 600 gold, so Romantic will be able to train up a lot of units when the time comes. However, this can be a timing attack here. Tauren Chieftain does not want this tech to tier 2, or wants to stop this tech to tier 2 quickly, trying to break down the front door right now as we see a couple of ensnares go down. Tauren Chieftain perhaps going to try and shockwave his way in as well as the footmen. We are taking quite a bit of damage, a lot of critical strikes from those wolves. Farseer, well, there's a Scroll of the Beast used there, about to take down Archmage, trying to get trained up. One Arcane Tower there isn't going to be enough, as the Tauren Chieftain could turn back around and perhaps try and shockwave again. There goes one footman once more, and we can still see the Altar of Kings getting pressured. Tauren Chieftain, is he going to try and line things up and, well, barrel out some damage? No, instead he gets storm bolted as the Mountain King tries to stop any sort of retreat. There goes the Altar of Kings though. No more Archmage and no additional heroes to fight as the Mountain King, well, another bullet in the chamber, able to snipe down an expensive raider. All right, so 800 gold and no way to spend it. That is the problem of the very rich Romantic right now. No way to spend his gold efficiently to win out in a battle. Production buildings lost. No real tech buildings yet, and loss of that Altar of Kings to stop the training of a hero. Meanwhile, Lin is setting up an expo of his own, wanting to make up a bit of that economic difference. Forest Troll Berserker getting felled there. Farseer with plus 18 damage. Big auto attack damage there. There's a Stormbolt finding another Headhunter, and this is going to be a major problem until the Headhunters become Berserkers. Headhunter, that Stormbolt right now, even the level 2 variety, deals more than half of the Headhunter's life. So any Headhunter that is in the yellow can easily just get Stormbolted quickly if there is mana. That is going to be the question. There goes another Footman again. Couple of ensnares. Headhunters trying to burst things down. There goes another Stormbolt. I think that was a potion of mana. There's going to be, no, deny. Mountain King just shy of level 5 gets the Raider denied, and without that, well, only a 200 hit point Stormbolt instead of the 300 variety. Tauren Chieftain could have a very bad day. Cloak of Shadows transferred mid-fight, and another Footman gonna get lost. All right, the units are on hold position, just trying to figure out what happened. There goes another Footman again. Some big damage there as the Tauren Chieftain now finally able to break free. 3 Footmen lost in that exchange. A couple of Headhunters could get lost as well. There's level 5 now on that Mountain King. Are we going to see the death of another Raider? There's a bash hit followed by a normal hit, and now perhaps a Stormbolt onto a different Raider as well. There's another bash hit. That Raider is about to get taken down. Another Stormbolt. Nope, no Stormbolt. No, this is not live. Another ensnare onto a Footman in the back here. As we see the Stormbolt finding that Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain could still could hide, does have Cloak of Shadows, does a quick reveal as the Tauren Chieftain tries to escape, but the Militia able to finish him off. Mountain King sitting at 5 here. That Ring of Regeneration really has given a lot of mana as we see the Tauren Chieftain back out on the battlefield quickly. That Tauren Chieftain there to provide endurance aura, but has to be careful of the Stormbolt of that Mountain King as we see a tactical retreat now finally. Footman getting cleaned up, Spellbreakers joining in from the fight from the outpost as the Archmage was trained up too. There's a Clarity Potion. Archmage is sitting at level 1 and didn't go for Brilliance Aura first, transferring some items. Mountain King, well, Clarity Potion, Archmage perhaps with Water Elementals ready to move on through. Meanwhile, Lin gonna go and try and clear out this Red Drake creep camp and this Fountain of Health, well, focusing down those units quickly. Level 4 is gonna be important for that Tauren Chieftain. More hit points, faster attack speed, faster movement speed, all of those things right there as that Red Drake constantly gets ensnared and gonna get cleaned up here. Item is a Sobi Mask. That's going to be a big item for either the Tauren Chieftain or that Farseer, as the Farseer still, well, gotta respect the auto attack damage at plus 18. Archmage does have Water Elemental first. Item transferred there. Mountain King backing away, knowing that he can't gain any experience and wants Brilliance Auras. A little bit of a selfish motivation, but good for the team overall. Ensnare on the Water Elemental again. That's going to get gift wrapped, but, well, Mountain King, the threat of a level 3 Stormbolt, more than enough to, well, disengage for the moment. Overall supply count, we're looking at 68 supply compared to 49. Romantic has been mining more gold in no upkeep than his opponent, and, well, is probably going to try and burst through, get into high 60s, if not higher, once the time comes. We're going into triple Arcane Sanctums right now, so, well, the Shockwave strategy to try and push through may be the right call. All right. Are we going to see... Yeah, see, those scout farms just look different, or these farms just look different to me. Yeah. Yes, you can see. All right, Mountain King in that front spot here. Yeah, they just look a little they just look different, right? Something is odd about them to me, and after 2 decades of playing Warcraft 3, it just looks different. Anyways. No, they didn't. They did a patch. I'll talk to you about it later. Alright. Oh, Crota, tell us what you really feel. Mountain King coming in from behind here. Well, is he gonna try and go for a Stormbolt straight up onto a Kodo Beast. Kodo Beast ends up getting taken down. Archmage gets up to level 2, but Archmage could be in trouble. There's a Thunderclap across all of those units. Tauren Chieftain gets up to level 4. Boots of Quel'Tha Lost picked up there. As the Archmage is looking to back up. The Fountain of Health is behind the Orc army, so that's better for Orc, especially as Orc units generally have more hit points, but still, Focus Fire could cause problems. Shockwave ripping on through could end up, well, taking down many of those peasants if they try to get a little bit too close here. Spellbreaker's in position. One Spellbreaker gets taken down as we are still healing up nicely for Lin at that fountain. Meanwhile, 64 over, or 70 supply over 74 compared to 63 over 72. Exactly as we expected. Romantic breaking into low upkeep, getting into the 70s now. And getting more Spellbreakers just churned out from these fights. All right, Militia trying to get called on over. We're looking at 1-1 upgrades as the Tauren Chieftain looks to finish off this Ogre match, or what was left of this Ogre Lord creep camp. All right, Farseer looks like it's not going to level up. Neither is the Tauren Chieftain, as an invisible Mountain King still, well, running traffic patterns through here, causing a little bit of a slow up for all of the Orc units. Archmage still sitting at level 2, not yet at level 3. We can see all of those farms could get blown over pretty quick. I can't even tell anymore what's new and old, HD or SD. Yeah, it's... I want to use, like... I like the sound of the classic, but using using reforged classic graphics means you have to use reforged sound, and then the reforged sound just sounds a little bit. They don't have the full gambit, right? Like when you are trying to design sound in a real-time strategy game, I mean, Battle Aces did a really good job talking about it, where more important sounds, the sounds occupy different frequencies, so that you can have so you can understand and hear what things are taking place, right? If you overlay all the sounds in the same frequency, then it's just poor sound design, because as a player you need to be able to hear what is happening there. That's a low, big rumble on the lower spectrum, as opposed to the clinking that you often hear from the swords. The new sound design in Reforged, they might sound good individually, but in a big battle, it's difficult to tell what's happening, since all of the clanks and sounds just sound a bit too similar. Or that's the feeling I'm getting. Right, like, and that might actually be a good explanation of why WarCraft 3 Reforged failed the first time. Individually, all of the units, like, oh, it's higher resolution, it's not as blocky, it's not as polygon-ish, right? It looks better individually. But then when you are trying to have an 80 food battle versus 80 food battle, and you can't tell the difference from far away what your shaman looks like versus your headhunter, they're just occupying the same space. And that was particularly true of priests and sorceresses for the human army. During the early WarCraft 3 portion, yeah. But yeah, I'm rehashing things from 5 years ago. Let me forget it. All right, coming back through. Raiders ready to dive in here. Tauren Chieftain, is he going to try and shockwave or do anything? No, he is not. The Raiders are just trying to push through. There's a Stormbolt onto the Raiders, so that's level 2 Stormbolt, level 3 Thunderclap, as the Mountain King going to gain a little bit more experience and now give the Archmage level 3. So are we going to be looking at level 2 Brilliance Aura? No, level 1 Brilliance Aura still. Flying Machines are overhead. There's a big Thunderclap slowing down all of those units and adding in a lot of damage. Shockwave coming on through as well. Mountain King taking quite a bit of damage. Needs to back up here. Down to 500 hit points already. Throws down another Thunderclap there. That was level 6 now. And we may see Avatar for the Mountain King, as he may, well, trying to turn into that giant tank in that front line. All right, Mountain King still fighting his way through. There's another Thunderclap there. The Kodo Beasts are trying to, well, chomp down onto some of those Spellbreakers, unable to easily dine and dash, as it gets another Stormbolt as well. All right, Archmage and level 3. Mountain King sitting at level 6. Both sides still fighting. There's Chain Lightning ripping on through. So level 3 Chain Lightning, or the Chain Lightning and the Shockwave really finding a lot of damage along the back row again, as we're looking at some Spellbreakers. Are they going to get taken down? No. Surviving at 18 hit points. That fight was actually much closer than I expected it to be. That Chain Wave, Chain Lightning Shockwave doing a lot more damage to that back line than expected. Mountain King was able to get in a decent amount of Thunderclaps, but who's going to bounce back faster? That is the question. 70 over 92 supply compared to 66 over 92. The Keep is getting upgraded here. More priests getting trained up, as a Raider trying to take down a Sorceress off on the north. All right, reinforcing Orc or human army is going to, well, stop that Raider in its tracks. Peasant perhaps going to try and get in front. No, Raider is just slowly walking their way through. Finally gets taken down. Archmage, yes, did in fact go for level 2 Water Elementals, I believe. All right. Clarity Potion on the Tauren Chieftain. More mana is needed. There's a Scroll of Healing as well to try and shake off some of that, well, Thunderclap damage that, well, just stacks damage onto that front line so quickly. Now, if the Tauren Chieftain and the Farseer, if they're able to get some good Chain Lightnings and Shockwaves along the supporting cast, these Priests and Sorceresses, and have them all fall, then it just turns into a battle of Spellbreakers against Spellbreakers, against Raiders and Grunts, which is a battle that the Orc army can generally win out or try and squeak a victory or an edge in. Coming back through, Mountain King looking to pull back away. There's Sorceress, Priest ready to go. Mountain King is invisible on that side, ready to lay down the Thunderclap and then perhaps have the Spellbreakers follow up with some significant damage. Flying machines are flying here, so they're able to gain sight. A Water Elemental quickly getting scouted out, and Mountain King gets ensnared. All right, that Sentry Ward right there, such a big deal, catching that Mountain King there. Are we going to get a surround? Mountain King could be forced to use, no, Staff of Sanctuary for the save as the Blood Mage as the third and final hero. All right, Scroll of Town Portal trying to retreat back out. Without that Mountain King in position, things could be bad news. However, the Farseer was unable to get a Chain Lightning onto that back line to try and finish off all of those casters there. Raiders now trying to put in pressure. Tauren Chieftain is going to try and lock in another Shockwave here against those units. Yes, does find one Sorceress. There's a Chain Lightning finding another 2 more Sorceresses there. That's exactly what I was talking about as we're looking at a little bit of a fight. However, the sudden appearance of the Blood Mage and the shutdown on the mana could spell a different story. There's a Stormbolt onto the Tauren Chieftain. There's Chain Lightning bouncing around. There's a Shockwave finishing off the Blood Mage in that back line once more. The Stormbolt doing a good job trying to shut down the Shockwave as the Spellbreakers were eating away at the mana of the Tauren Chieftain, but still not enough. All right, there's a Chain Lightning going around. We're going to find level 6 now onto the Farseer as the units are trying to retreat back. All right, are we going to see a little bit more damage? Yes, we are. Mountain King able to get up another Thunderclap into the front line here. Grunts trying to engage Berserker, or excuse me, Headhunter still poking. There's some more Chain Lightning bouncing around, but the army of Spellbreakers by Romantic really able to hold to that front door location as the Archmage uses a Potion of Invulnerability to survive a little while longer. That little bit of range from the Spellbreakers really starting to add up into more and more damage as another Stormbolt finds another Grunt. It looks like it's level 3 Stormbolt being able to pick off units there as we are looking at, well, one mining base that only has 3.5 minutes left compared to, well, what about 9 minutes? Let's see. Or 8 minutes, about 8 minutes. All right, so the longer this game goes, the more Lin will catch up in terms of the overall pacing of the game. Tauren Chieftain now sitting at level 5 here. Perhaps we're going to have him venture off to the north. We can see shockwaves or ways to just deal damage with these raiders. Also, using the Fountain of Health to heal is a pretty safe bet at this point and stage in the game. To try and do those hit and run tactics. Stronghold 66 over 92 supply compared to 74 over 88. Romantic still holding that army size advantage. And, well, where is that Mountain King? Mountain King doing a little bit of shopping while trying to stay out of sight still. All right, no sentry wards. Mountain King does have a Potion of Healing and a Scroll of Town Portal. We're going to see a little bit of just taking down the farm. There's a sentry ward right there, and they're just trying to make sure that if the Mountain King does show up, that they have a they have the preemptive jump on that Mountain King there. All right, Kodo Beast, Mountain King, currently not invisible, does have Inner Fire. Flying machines overhead. It does spot these sentry wards as we see an ensnare go down onto a priest, and that's just going to get nope, not going to even get picked off. 1 or 2 more shots would have been enough. Not quite sure what the true question is there. There goes another sentry ward placed down again to, well, keep tabs on that Mountain King. 500 mana on the Farseer. You can see some well, flying machines getting caught out there. The Witch Doctor with those sentry wards really trying to be preemptive and be able to respond to the Mountain King before he gets in one of those very, very clutch Thunderclaps or Stormbolts. There's a sentry ward spotted there. Archmage could try and easily take it out. There's a Chain Lightning bouncing around across those units, but you can see it didn't really deal that much as the priests are able to heal it all back up pretty much in an instant. Romantic now taking control of those sentry wards instead. So the Witch Doctor has to be careful moving forward as well. All right, Stormbolt straight up onto the Raider. Thunderclap right there. And now what's going to happen? Chain Lightning and Shockwave finding a couple of those sorceresses already. Tauren Chieftain losing quite a bit of mana, down to 109. Is he going to be able to get off another Shockwave against those units? Does shoot it down. Another 3 right there. The 2 sorceresses and then the Priest following it up. So just using that Chain Lightning Shockwave to try and destroy that back line. However, I believe the problem are going to be the Spellbreakers. Without any Taurens and Pulverize to deal with those Spellbreakers are just going to be dealing far too much damage. Pulverize, AoE, normal AoE damage against these Spellbreakers that take bonus damage from normal attacks, that is going to be the big difference there. Raiders trying to retreat back. Farseer, Tauren Chieftain now falling back as well. Tauren Chieftain sitting at level 5, getting very close to level 6. Going to be using up that Clarity Potion and perhaps venturing forth again. Mountain King, not invisible. Gonna, well, try and catch some of these peons out in the middle of the battlefield as Romantic is out of gold. So right now, Romantic is mining while his opponent is not. That's exactly where he wants to be. He wants to be able to replenish his units much more quickly as that level 7 Mountain King backs away. A couple of purges go down. We're going to see a Shockwave. Level 6 now on the Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain could spell some big problems as the Tauren Chieftain now tries to make its way back over. Stormbolt onto the Farseer. Farseer losing quite a bit of mana, being forced to retreat back away as the Avatar mode for the Mountain King right there. Massive Thunderclap there. I'm going to see a Chain Lightning. Yes, Chain Lightning trying to bounce around on those back units, but still not quite enough mana as the Tauren Chieftain still slowly losing mana, taking damage from those Spellbreakers. Not being able to get a Thunderclap or a Shockwave off is a big deal, but the Chain Lightning still bounces around enough to try and finish off some more. All right, Grunts continuing the battle up. There's a massive Thunderclap there. The Spellbreakers just saying, you know what, all this spell damage, I do not care. I'm just going to be going after all these units again as we see a Thunderclap while slowing down some of these Headhunters and other remaining units. Tauren Chieftain continuing the battle. Blood Mage falls at level 2. Archmage could fall. Is it going to end up falling at the hands of the Tauren Chieftain? No, it is not. The Farseer trying to make its way over as well as the Tauren Chieftain does have faster movement speed. Mountain King does not have enough for a Stormbolt as the units are still trying to engage. All right, going after some big units could help store. We are now looking at the Farseer here, the one transferring that Sobi Mask. There's a Staff of Sanctuary save from the Archmage there, who is just shy of level 5. All right, Stormbolt onto a Shaman. That will get picked off here. We still see about 2.5 minutes of mining left. The Spellbreakers trying to catch up. The army of Romantic, much larger still, 61 supply compared to 39. Romantic's Spellbreaker army, well, no easy way to take them out. All of the supporting cast has been done, but the Spellbreakers and the heroes still a major part of the battle here, causing major problems. Now, the Priest and the Priest and their heals are not 100% necessary since we have access to Fountains of Health on the side. So yeah, I think the sheer army size of Romantic is just going to be the defining factor in this fight, especially as there's only about 1,000 gold left in this southern gold mine. Blood Mage siphoning mana back into that Mountain King, now north of 200. Archmage getting ready in position as well. And I think Romantic should be able to just simply A-move with his army easily. Archmage making its way down the battlefield. Mountain King invisible and with that inner fire, looking to clean up a couple more of those sentry wards. Well, no, yeah, clean them up by taking them over. Deal a little bit of damage first and then use control magic so that the Spellbreaker doesn't have to use nearly as much mana. Army making their way through. Militia now being called down to the south here. This gold mine has about a minute of gold left here. Army size, we're looking at 49 over 49 supply compared to, I believe, like 60. So a decent difference overall as the Raiders, where are they going to be pressuring? That is the question. All right, a couple of these Sentry Wards did switch colors. So remember, this is Romantic Sentry Ward right now. So that they know that the Orc army is getting ready to attack on the far side here. Now, what's interesting is that the Farseer could have easily tried to like dive in here, get perhaps some Earthquake, take down the towers, and then take down these buildings and turn this into a base race scenario with Pillage. Pillage, yes, Pillage has been researched, so there is quite a bit of gold trying to take down each of these buildings one at a time. There goes a Stormbolt finding the back of a Raider, and now what is going to happening there? Another Thunderclap. Both sides are going to engage. Spellbreakers deal bonus damage versus the Raiders, though. Chain Lightning Archmage gets up to level 5. Invisible Banish onto the Archmage. Archmage isn't going to be able to escape away. It is banished. If it takes a Shockwave right now or a Chain Lightning, that would be too much damage as the Tauren Chieftain sits at level 6. All right, going after the Blood Mage. Blood Mage could be in a little bit of trouble if it takes a Shockwave or a Chain Lightning. No, Stormbolt onto the Farseer, and the Farseer may end up falling, and no, so does the Archmage. So hero after hero has fallen. Level 3 now on the Blood Mage. Blood Mage now going down, and Romantic ends up eking out the victory in the very end. Beautiful game going back and forth. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.